Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, a controversial development on Hobart's eastern shore has suffered its latest setback after Clarence Council denied an extension request. The future of the Shambroad Hotel development remains unclear as tourism advocates urge local government not to throw away the opportunity.
An overwhelming vote to stop a proposal in its tracks for now.
All those in favour? Thank you. Those against?
Clarence City Council slapping down yet another extension request made by developer Shambroad, who is behind a heavily debated plan for this desolate Kangaroo Bay site.
Well, the reason for not extending the time request was that they've had 3 extensions of time, 5.5 years, and nothing's happened.
A modified proposal also not accepted, with the first concept art of the hotel project only released late yesterday.
At 7 o'clock last night, they released the plans. Council were meeting. At that time, they then released modified plans. They've got to bring the community with them. They haven't done that.
Developers should be working with the community every single step of the way, and they shouldn't get to the stage of putting forward a proposal until that has the support of the majority of the community in which that proposal is going to take place.
But tourism bosses don't want the idea dismissed completely.
The alternative of going back to square one, it's just going to mean years of ongoing debate and I guess nothing happening with this site.
Shambroad isn't stepping away without a fight, stating its commitment to commencing a comprehensive consultation program, planning to engage with a range of stakeholders, including the broader community of Clarence Municipality, existing business operators in the Bellary Village precinct and immediate local residents.
Let there be no doubt about Shambroad's commitment. It wants to build the new hotel in Kangaroo Bay, and we seek your support to do that job.
Council now has the potential to trigger a clause which could see it buy back the land for the original sale price of more than $2 million, but a decision to do so must be made before April 12 next year.
It's time for Shambroad to step up. They can either step up or they need to step away.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government says a deal between the public and private hospital sectors has helped bring down the state's elective surgery waitlist. Premier Rockcliffe today also spruiking a newly signed memorandum of understanding with the Clifford Craig Foundation to build a first-of-its-kind research facility in the state's north.
Investments already paying off for the state government.
We're here to really celebrate the great partnership between public and private health settings, and a part of our $196 million 4-year elective surgery plan.
Private and public hospitals working together to bring down our elective surgery wait lists.
What it does do is it opens up or protects operating time at the LGH, where for the more serious and complicated procedures. So everyone really benefits from that.
Some on the wait list singing the program's praises.
I can vouch that I started 5 weeks ago to see the doctor. Here I am here today to get this procedure done. This is tremendous for Tasmania.
The partnership we have with North Tas Day Hospital has resulted in over 200 procedures that have come from the Launceston General Hospital, enabling, of course, people to be able to get their elective surgery and their procedures sooner, therefore reducing the waiting lists.
When you haven't properly invested in your public health system, you will go to the private sector in order to take the pressure off the hospital system and make sure that people can have their elective surgeries.
The state government also inking a deal with the Clifford Craig Foundation today to build a research centre.
Health research is terribly important to the outcome of patients, and in a rich environment of research, the outcomes for those patients in that community are better. There's no doubt about that.
The centre would be the first of its kind in northern Tasmania and has been in the works for 10 years. Its funding for the first 5 years has already been secured. It's hoped the facility will help recruit and retain skilled health professionals.
This is an incredibly valuable opportunity and will only improve the health and wellbeing of our population.
The idea garnering some support.
It's excellent, but I did notice in the announcement there was no reference to one of the most significant health threats this island and its people are facing, and that is a let-it-rip approach to COVID.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian hospitals are being forced to establish COVID-specific areas in light of the current fourth wave. The LGH has established a COVID ward, and half of the children's ward at the Royal has changed to a COVID-dedicated area to help with hospitalised cases.
What we're doing over the course of the Christmas New Year period is opening an additional 16 beds so we can support the management of the pressures within our hospital system. And look, these management decisions are made at an operational level day by day.
Emergency Department COVID escalation levels have, however, been reduced back to level 3 after claims the fourth wave has plateaued. The business case for a new stadium in Hobart is likely to be released publicly. The proposal is now in the Prime Minister's hands as the state government courts federal funding for the project.
It's been a 3-decade-long dream, and the federal government has a great opportunity to be part of that.
It would be better for Mr McLaughlin to come down and announce the licence without the requirement of a stadium.
Consultation between the state government and Hobart City Council over the plan will begin later this week. Police say a devastating shed fire which claimed the life of a 3-year-old boy in Mowbray last month was accidental. Investigators determined the blaze was caused by an ignition near a fuel source. A second child was treated for serious injuries. Ambulance officers across Tasmania are putting pressure on the state government to deliver a better wage deal. More than 90% of the health union's members turned down the latest offer, with plans to escalate industrial action. Those on the front lines say the figure doesn't reflect the growing demands in the sector.
I've worked for 3 different ambulance services. This is quite easily the worst, and I'll be honest and say that I've looked for work elsewhere as well, not even in health.
The offer is well below the increases to the cost of living, and it will mean that Tasmanian paramedics will be paid less than any other state if this offer had been accepted.
The Premier has encouraged the union to work closely with them and continue to negotiate in good faith. Many small Tasmanian retail businesses are heavily reliant on the festive season to make a buck. And after a tough few years, last-minute shoppers are being urged not to be Christmas Grinches and put their money back into the community by buying local.
Designing jewellery for the past 7 years, Katie's small and intricate designs signify something much greater.
We've got butterfly collection, and that's got to do with the eating disorder recovery and how that's got to do with that whole aspect that a lot of people don't talk about.
Highlighting different aspects of mental health, Katie's collections have recently moved into the Tassie Makers Market, which sells local handmade creations.
All of my stones and the materials are sourced here.
It really is just keeping hard-earned dollars here in Tasmania, so it is special. It's knowing that a mum is able to go and buy clothing for her kids, or an aunt is able to spoil her nieces and nephews.
The store showcases more than 70 predominantly female brands, and with Christmas fast approaching, the public is being urged to spend its savings where it matters most.
At Christmas time, we are making roughly 50% of our year's income.
Tasmania has 32,000 small businesses, and most of those actually only employ just a few people. So it's really vital that those small businesses are well supported.
With only 5 sleeps left until the big day, it's hoped their message sparks inspiration for those still hunting for the perfect present. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens are pushing to protect national protest laws, firing back at Australian jurisdictions working to jail peaceful protesters. The party is joining forces with the Bob Brown Foundation in a campaign for a national bill to protect their rights.
If I go to jail for 7 years, I'll be 79. I could die there.
If you're serious about climate action,
if you're serious about protecting the environment, if you're serious about First Nations justice, protect the people on the front line who are making that fight right now.
An activist who is currently strapped to a tree in the Tarkine rainforest, also making her voice heard.
There are so many wild places all around the world, and in Tasmania especially, that are only still here because of the actions of peaceful protesters.
The bill will be drafted in the first half of next year with consultation from legal reformers, activists and justice movements. The Assistant Minister for Transport has called on Tasmanians to take extra caution when driving on the roads this Christmas. Carol Brown has urged locals to never get behind the wheel under the influence and act responsibly so everyone survives.
We need to follow the road rules, we need to drive to the conditions, and you need to drive to your abilities. And be aware of what's happening around you.
Make sure you come home for Christmas. We don't want to see any more names added to that list of tragedies. We don't want to see any more families go through the grief over Christmas of losing a loved one.
Motorists are reminded to slow down on rural and regional roads, with the state reporting a more than 60% increase in road deaths this year alone. With the clock ticking down to the big day, charities across Launceston have begun the final push towards the city's community Christmas lunch. Now in its 7th year, the beloved event is making some major changes to make the festive cheer go a little further.
Packed up and ready to take off, City Missions vans might not have the flair of Santa's sleigh, but the gifts they're collecting are just as precious.
Yeah, we're here to pick up some food that the IGA generally donates. Along with the Tasmanian independent retailers.
Donations stacking up for this year's Launceston Community Christmas. A coalition of charities teaming up to put nearly 600 meals on the table, including for some of the community's most vulnerable.
Yeah, recognising there's quite a number of people that are homeless in our community, we decided to also package up some meals and send that out with the Vinnie's crew.
Close to 100 volunteers have signed up to help the crowds make merry.
I'm listening to stories about the veggie prep on Friday, what's going to happen on Saturday, who can be there at 7 o'clock on Sunday. There's just this wonderful sense of camaraderie, connection and celebration. So
IGA has once again come to the table, supplying thousands of dollars worth of food.
So for us it's all about, that piece of giving back, that understanding that, you're not just in the community to run a business, you're also in a community to be part of that community.
With Albert Hall currently undergoing renovations, event organisers have had to find a new location. Instead, this year's lunch will be held here at the Door of Hope.
And, we'll make the event a really positive event, no matter what the circumstances.
Helping deliver a Merry Christmas to those who need it most. Annie Green, 7 Tasmanian News.
Good evening. His bowling sure looks unorthodox, but Paddy Dooley had the right kind of moves for the Hurricanes overnight. His 4 for 16 rescued the Canes in a nail-biter against the Perth Scorchers. It's the first time the team has won in Launceston since 2018, but things certainly didn't start the way they would have liked. The state's north is where the Canes' form typically heads south, and last night seemed to be no exception.
Big shout. Gone! First delivery.
With the chessboard's king removed, only a captain's knock could provide a remedy to the York Park curse.
Even our camera couldn't find it. Went that high.
Matthew Wade's half-century put Perth under pressure. Darcy Short kept the foot down. But a middle-order collapse had Launceston fans sighing, "Here we go again."
Good catch.
Just like in the World Cup final, Paris had little to cheer about. Instead, it took Singapore's big swinger Tim David to push the target beyond 170.
There's the first of Tim David's big bombs.
The biggest bomb, though, you couldn't miss.
Yeah! Gives him room and knocks him over. What an over from Dooley. He gets faff, he can't believe it.
Paddy Dooley. Remember the name? Remember the windmill action. An automatic fan favourite, especially yielding results like this.
Oh, there's a shout and gone.
The wash-up 4 for 16, but the flashiest wicket of the night belonged to Shut Up Khan.
Catch! Yeah! Oh, taken! Caught and bowled, chance taken.
A lightning-fast reaction, a desperate dive across the pitch, enough to stamp out a late charge from the reigning champions. Nathan Ellis finishing the job, the Hurricanes holding them off by 8 runs and unearthing a new cult hero for the side.
The crazy arm movement, I was just having a crack at backyard cricket, practicing some Jasper Bumrahs when India were here for the summer cricket, and it sort of worked for my rhythm, and I just kept going with it.
So you were literally just mucking around initially?
Yes, I was, yeah.
No mucking around on Thursday though, where it's back to business against the Sixers at the SCG. Sarah Coit has taken her first fifer for the Tasmanian Tigers in the women's one-day competition. The clincher sent teammates into raptures.
And she's bowled her. That's a fifer.
He finished with 5 for 30. New South Wales was bowled out for 226. The Tigers are currently at 2 for 58 after 14 overs. Jack Jumpers coach Scott Roth concedes a lack of effort chasing down rebounds let the side down. Tasmania lost 93-82 in Adelaide against the 36ers last night. Despite strong shooting from Milton Doyle with 18 and Isaac White with 12, the Jack Jumpers' defensive game let them down in the final term.
Effort. I mean, it's pretty simple. There's no talent in rebounding. Some of the greatest rebounders in the history of the game have been undersized guys that just have a nose for a ball and they dig them out and they go get them.
Clint Steindl returned to the starting 5 after a season riddled with injuries.
Whatever minutes you play, I mean, I'm going out there trying to be effective, trying to be efficient, and I think I need to provide more in the effective area right now. I mean,
the Jack Jumpers play the Illawarra Hawks on Thursday.
Good evening. Hobart 17 degrees today, 22 in Launceston. Devonport recorded 19 and Burnie 18. Ouse reached 21. King Island, Grove and Strawn 20. Lowhead and Friendly Beaches 19. St Helens 18. Lyawini 16. Still on the cool side. Early cloud did push over most of the state but cleared from the southwest as the day progressed. Some cover over coastal regions of eastern Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. Cloud with embedded thunderstorms over the far north and parts of Western and South Australia. Tomorrow the high moves away to the southeast, finally encouraging a more northerly airstream over us tomorrow. And mostly eastern or easterly winds, gaining some strength too, in fact up to 30 knots over the northwest later, more variable winds over the west. We have a strong wind warning that's been posted for waters between Sandy Cape and Stanley. Hobart, a high tomorrow of 21 and partly cloudy. Geeveston 22 and Bothwell 22 as well, fine. Launceston shooting for 23 degrees, a cloudy day, partly cloudy for Devonport, 19 the high and 22 the top for Cressy. Burnie expecting 17 degrees and partly cloudy, Strawn up to 22 and 20 the high for Curry on King Island. 18 the top for St Helens, Swansea partly cloudy 19, 19 also for Orford. UV an extreme 11 tomorrow. On Thursday, mostly fine and partly cloudy ahead of a few scattered showers. A few scattered showers on Friday, a thunderstorm likely inland. And on Christmas Eve, fine across the state apart from a light shower over the west and getting good vibes about Christmas Day early as well. A mostly sunny 35 in Perth tomorrow. Possible storm for Adelaide, sunny weather for Melbourne, partly cloudy in Sydney and Brisbane. Fine conditions at the moment, 16 degrees in Hobart, 18 right now in Launceston, 16 in Devonport. It's amazing, isn't it, when you swallow a fly halfway through a news bulletin? We've wheeled her back into the studio just to wave goodnight. I know she can't speak. Good night, Kim.
Good night, Murph. Good night, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. Good night.